Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Trevor here coming at you. And I got some pretty big news for you regarding Strategy Inc., MSTR, and how many Bitcoin they just acquired. It's a little over 10,000. I want to say it's like 10,664, um, plus or minus a few. I think it's that exactly, actually. Yeah, I wanted to get into the implications of this buy and how it's going to affect MSTR and how it's going to affect you as an investor. So with that, guys, be sure to stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, definitely consider subscribing. We talk about MSTR and Bitcoin every single day, as well as like the video if you don't mind. It really helps promote the video. So with that being said, MSTR now has like 660,000, a little over 660,000 Bitcoin. Um, and it's that's quite a few Bitcoins. Let's just put it that way. That is a ridiculous amount of Bitcoins. That being said, a lot of FUD still going on around MicroStrategy, Strategy Inc. And we're seeing the stock price still not go up very much, right? Even at Bitcoin prices, though, that they are now at around $90,000, Strategy is still finding ways to acquire more Bitcoin, right? And that is one of the biggest, I would say, complexes about the stock, right? Where it's like as long as Strategy can continue to find more investors, right? And also as long as Bitcoin does not have a prolonged drought to like 10, 20K per Bitcoin, then my personal humble opinion from a guy on YouTube is that we are going to see a short squeeze and a stock price for MSTR like we have never seen before, ever, right? And possibly like we've never seen in any other stock, right? It is my personal humble opinion from a guy on YouTube that I think MSTR will be one of, if not the largest company in the entire world, right? So if you are a Bitcoin bull, which if you're watching this video, there's a big chance you are a Bitcoin bull and probably an MSTR bull, um, then it's like, if you love Bitcoin, how do you not love MSTR? Because they have so many Bitcoins, right? And if you do the math, you throw it out on Excel, you can look at some CERN Basher. He's like a big Tesla investor, but he's done analysis with just like Excel sheets showing like what stock price will be associated with MSTR based upon, year, like 2026, 2027, 2028, as well as the associated Bitcoin price, right? Because that's really what it boils down to is what's the Bitcoin price. So yeah, but as long as Michael Saylor and the team are continue to like acquire Bitcoin, even at like smaller prices for Bitcoin like they are now, we should see just sentiment change. Like that's the whole thing. Is like I've been making videos on MSTR for about a couple months now, right? And I had seen MSTR go from 350 to 450, right, and then from 450 down back to 350, and I was sitting here saying, why is it down to 350 again? At the same time when like Bitcoin had basically done nothing but traded sideways. Now we've seen a little bit of price depreciation in Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin's around 90K now, and at the time it was around 125K. But like, as Bitcoin trades sideways, MSTR goes down, right? But as Bitcoin rises, MSTR rises 2x plus, potentially 2.53x, right? So definitely amplified Bitcoin, like I've talked about in my previous videos. But the simple fact of the matter is that they find more ways to raise investor money, right? And the idea behind Bitcoin just going so low that like Strategy actually has to sell their Bitcoin, it's so overblown, right? It's not even my words saying that it's overblown. It's actually like tons of other institutional investors and gigantic investment firms, right? Saying that, MSTR is probably going to be just fine. And we're seeing like this huge like depreciation in stock price for MSTR, and it's just unwarranted, right? So it's like me as a 31-year-old aerospace engineer who loves stocks and loves crypto, and I have an income, right? Well, I work a job, right? Where it's like I can actually continue to dollar cost average in. I don't put all my money into MSTR, right? But I definitely keep buying every 2 weeks, and then actually probably like every week. But that's the whole idea. It's like, is MicroStrategy going to go to zero, or is it going to go to two, three, four, $5,000 a share, right? And people call me crazy for saying, "Hey, MicroStrategy is going to be $5,000, $10,000 a share one day, right? On a split adjusted basis, because it's probably going to split before it actually gets there." But the point is, the reason why I think that is because I think that Bitcoin's going to go up. I think they're going to continue to acquire Bitcoin, and I don't see how they don't do it, right? Bitcoin's at 90K today, and if you multiply it by 10, right, that's what is that, $900 or $900,000 for one Bitcoin, right? So MicroStrategy is at $180. If you 10x that, that's $1,800 a share, right? That's like not that far away from 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000, right? So, and that's just assuming like the MNAV stays low like it is now, right? So like we're saying if Bitcoin gets to $900,000 per Bitcoin, MicroStrategy's stock price is minimum $1,800, right? Minimum. And more like it's probably going to be like $4,000 if we're being real, because at that point, and actually it could be even higher because they continue to acquire more Bitcoin. So that we're talking like a minimum of like $3,500, $4,000, assuming they don't acquire a single another Bitcoin, right? So it's just like, in my eyes, it's just such an asymmetric bet, you know. And the other thing is that people call me crazy, especially the bears, right? Coming out of hibernation, they call me crazy for saying that, you know, the stock price could be so high. But if you look at just 2 months ago, the stock price was $450, right? So if you're looking at a $450 stock price, you got one double and it's 1,000 basically, right? And you've got a 10x and it's 5,000. So it's like, do you think that Bitcoin could 10x or 20x from here? I personally, without a doubt, think that it can, right? And I think there's a lot of people that align with me in that regard, right? I think that there's a very, very good chance that Bitcoin just goes to the absolute freaking moon. So with that being said, like I said, I mean, you're just getting a huge discount. Like, sure, there's been a little bit more dilution, but at the end of the day, the market cap on MSTR was over $100 billion like 2 months ago, and now we're looking at half that. We're looking at a $50 billion stock price or market cap for the stock. And we're seeing a lot of smart money get in. If you actually look up online, you can see all these institutional investors and gigantic investment firms, sovereign wealth funds, just tons of places getting into Bitcoin as well as MSTR, right? So it's like you got a lot of FUD, but why is there so much FUD when a stock price is so far down and when people are saying, "Oh, it's the best time to short," bruh, it's not the best time to short. If you were going to short, the best time would have been 2 months ago when the stock price was 450. Are you really that crazy to be shorting MSTR stock at $180? Are you that nuts? You'd have to literally be nuts to be short this stock right now, right? I mean, can you imagine how epic of a short squeeze is potentially going to happen in MSTR stock, right? Like, if Bitcoin goes to 150K, 200K in 6 months to 12 months, like JP Morgan has said multiple times it will, the short squeeze in MSTR will be legendary. Now, I mean legendary, guys. So it's like, whatever happens with Bitcoin, that will dictate what happens with MSTR, right? But I'm a big Bitcoin believer, and therefore I'm a big MSTR believer, guys. So if you got anything you want to add to that, you want to argue with me, you want to support what I'm saying, anything like that, just let me know in the comment section below. I'm very interested in hearing what my viewers, you know, think of MSTR and think about the drawdown, think about the potential for MSTR, what they think. What do you guys think of Bitcoin will be at in a few years? What do you think MSTR will be at in a few years? What's your position look like? Do you have leaps? Do you just have, you know, shares? What's your guys' opinion on everything that I'm saying here? So with that, guys, yeah, if you haven't subscribed, definitely please consider subscribing. Bringing you all the breaking news. This 10,000 Bitcoin buy was just announced like an hour and a half ago by Michael Saylor on X, right? So I try to bring you up-to-date news, everything crypto related as well as everything MSTR related. So yeah, with that, guys, definitely consider subscribing. If you don't mind, like the video. It helps promote the channel. And with that, guys, hope you have a great week, and thanks for watching.